This is what you need to know. Rising tensions in the Middle East driving prices to record levels and straining global energy markets. Airports across the U.S. struggling with massive delays as TSA officers work without pay. An ABC News exclusive on the Utah mom convicted of killing her husband with fentanyl and writing a book on grief, what the jury foreperson is saying about that trial, plus the controversy over producing a coin with President Trump on it. And the homeowners who woke up to find a bear in their kitchen. We've got much more what you need to know. I'm Jay O'Brien from ABC News. This is what you need to know. Let's get right to our big story. Gas prices are climbing fast, and the consequences are spreading far beyond filling stations. Everyday costs for shipping, food, and energy are surging amid the war in Iran. Elizabeth Schulze has the details.
Gas at this station here in Maryland is quickly approaching $4 a gallon, and that's becoming the norm across the country. The national average now $3.93, up almost a full dollar in 3 weeks since the war began. The record average high was $5 back in 2022, so we're not there yet. But Gas Buddy says this has now been the fastest 3-week spike in gas ever, meaning that prices are rising at a record-setting pace. In total, Americans are now paying $500 million extra in gas and diesel every day compared to the start of the war. We are also seeing big price hikes for other exports that typically move through the Strait of Hormuz. In Europe, natural gas is up 92% since the war started. That means higher home heating and cooking costs. By one estimate, fertilizers up 35% roughly, diesel has soared 36%. That combination means that costs are skyrocketing for farmers here just weeks ahead of the critical spring planting season. Plus, grocers are paying more to transport their foods. Economists say that could mean higher prices in the grocery aisle in the next couple of weeks.
It comes as airports across the country continue to struggle with massive security delays, with the Department of Homeland Security having lapsed funding now for more than a month. Lines topping 2 hours in some cities as more TSA officers call out sick. Selena Wang has more.
Jay, air travelers across the U.S. have faced massive security delays this week, with lines topping 2 to 3 hours at major airports as spring break travel surged. The cause here, a funding stalemate on Capitol Hill that has left the Department of Homeland Security unfunded for more than a month, forcing roughly 50,000 TSA officers to work without pay. As a result, call-out rates have soared, with some airports reporting up to 40% of screeners absent and hundreds of officers quitting altogether. Lawmakers remain far from a deal to fully fund Homeland Security. Democrats are pushing to tie funding to immigration policy changes, while Republicans have resisted those demands, prolonging the impasse. Airline executives have joined the chorus, warning Congress that continued delays jeopardize travel and security unless TSA agents are paid and staffing levels are restored.
Turning to the weather and the extreme heat in the West, a desert town in Arizona hit 110 degrees Thursday, breaking a record for the highest March temperature recorded in the U.S. Many California towns are also seeing triple-digit temperatures, well ahead of the usual summer season. Forecasters warn the extreme heat will continue across the West and South throughout the end of the month. Jeffrey Epstein's longtime personal attorney says he knew nothing about Epstein's crimes. In a closed-door deposition, Darren Indyke told House lawmakers he would have quit if he had known Epstein was trafficking girls. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee say that Indyke confirmed the existence of Epstein's hard drives held by private investigators. They're now trying to get a hold of them. The jury foreperson is speaking out in the Corey Richins murder trial. The Utah mom was found guilty of killing her husband with fentanyl. The jury reached a verdict in less than 3 hours, convicting Richins on all counts, including aggravated murder. The foreperson says the jury was shocked when they learned that Richins authored a book on grief after her husband died.
Everyone just felt like they're hit with a truck. We're like, what? Like, what the hell is this? It was so odd and so strange. And then the fact that she hired a ghost writer to write it.
The foreperson also adding that each juror had a different so-called smoking gun, but came to the same conclusion. And you can catch that interview and so much more in our What to Watch. The Richins trial is the subject of an all-new 2020. Hear from that jury foreperson as well as Richins' closest friend. Watch Murder, She Wrote, the Corey Richins trial, streaming now on Disney+. And you may know Theo James from The White Lotus or Divergent, but did you know his Greek grandfather had to escape the Nazis by fleeing to Syria? James Longman sat down with him, highlighting the millions of Syrians now returning home more than a year after the fall of Bashar al-Assad.
I guess part of my job going to Syria was to tell small human stories, to remind people that it can happen to anyone at any time. And these are people with children, with families, with ambitions, with dreams, and they still have them.
You can catch James's fantastic interview with Theo James streaming now on ABC News Live. We've got much more what you need to know. Now to take three, the stories that you'll be talking about this weekend. Number three, the NFL's first game of the season this fall will reportedly be on a Wednesday night because of other scheduling issues. The Wall Street Journal reports that the Seattle Seahawks will be hosting that kickoff game against right now an unknown team on September 9th. Number two players from the Iranian women's soccer team are now training with the Brisbane Roar soccer team in Australia. 7 women had initially accepted Australia's asylum offer, but 5 changed their minds to return to Iran, some in fear for their families. Members of the team drew global attention after some players stayed silent during Iran's national anthem before their first game at the Asia Cup. Now to number one of the great mysteries of the art world possibly solved. Someone named Banksy has made politically charged street art across England and the US for decades. You've probably heard of them. The artwork Girl with Balloon, for example, made headlines in 2006 when it self-shredded after a $1.4 million sale, and then it resold for over $25 million. Now a Reuters investigation claims Banksy is Robin Gunningham of the United Kingdom, a 51-year-old man who allegedly used the name David Jones in 2008 to avoid detection. But his lawyer disputes the report, so whether Gunningham is truly Banksy or not remains unclear. Now to some quick hits. Other stories we're following for you this weekend. Legendary martial artist and actor Chuck Norris has died. That's according to a statement from his family. Norris is best known for his action films and the hit series Walker, Texas Ranger. He passed away in Hawaii. The details about the cause of his death have not yet been released. Just days earlier, Norris had been hospitalized reportedly after a medical emergency while on the island. Chuck Norris was 86 years old. Now to the rapper Afro Man, who's celebrating a legal win. A jury sided with him in a defamation lawsuit brought by Ohio sheriff's deputies. The case stems from a 2022 search of his house where no charges were filed. Afterwards, Afro Man, whose real name is Joseph Foreman, turned that footage into music videos, portraying the deputies in a satirical light. The officers sued for millions, saying the videos caused humiliation and threats, but Foreman's defense argued that the videos were protected under freedom of speech, and he was successful. And a federal arts commission has approved the final design for a commemorative 24-karat gold coin featuring President Trump to help celebrate America's 250th anniversary on July 4th of this year. A design unanimously approved by the Commission of Fine Arts. Most of its members were handpicked by President Trump. One side will show the president, the other an eagle. It's controversial because living presidents are usually barred from appearing on currency. And finally, before you go, an unusual wake-up call for some homeowners in Southern California after a bear broke into their home while they were sleeping. Security cameras show the bear in their kitchen picking through nuts and dried fruit.
Very interesting that there was in my kitchen. It was just more interesting than scary.
More interesting than scary. Officials say that it got inside through a vent that had been left open after the midnight snack. The bear squeezed back out the same way it came. And that is what you need to know. For breaking news and live updates throughout the day, check out ABC News, streaming right here on Disney+.
New episodes streaming every day on Disney+.